Okay, so this live stream is being recorded, and obviously, as you know, it's just a live stream to let you guys know why we got into this trade. So if you look at the daily chart on Euro USD, we can see here, internal structure wise, we had this internal change of character. So as you can see here, we had a break of structure to the downside previously, which shows that market structure is bearish. We're staying bearish. And internal structure wise, on this second leg, we had this high, made a low, made a new high, made a low, made a high, and then we made a lower low. So what does that indicate? That indicates now that the internal structure wants to flip bearish to facilitate this new swing lower low, okay? So as soon as we had that internal change of character to the downside, and we now know that the internal structure may want to flip bearish now, we want to look for buying opportunities into the discounted areas of this leg, and then obviously once we get into this discounted area, we could look for sells. But this trade currently in was obviously a buy. So as we can see here, if we zoom in, internal structure wise and even fractal structure wise, we had this continuation of fractal structure. So we'll just go through this very quickly. For you guys who don't know what fractal structure is, you can go onto my YouTube channel and you can see the previous video that we did on fractal structure. So we had this, all these candles here, all the lows break the lows. So these are all continuations until here. This candle doesn't break this low, so that would be a fractal pullback, okay? So then after we have a fractal pullback, as some of you guys would know, what do we look for? We have to look for the fractal high. So how do we do that? So after this candle has now come up for the fractal pullback, we look at these candles and we look for the nearest candle that failed to break the previous candle's low, okay? So this candle breaks this low breaks this low, this low breaks this low, this breaks that one, this breaks that one, this breaks that one, that doesn't break this one, okay? So this would be the high, but because this candle trades higher, that would be the high. So in this sense, we have our fractal low here and our fractal high here. So obviously we would need for this high to be broken for a fractal change of character, or for this low to be broken for a continuation. And as we can see, we've come up, but we didn't get anywhere near here for the fractal break, but we did get that continuation, okay? So we've come up, failed to get that fractal change of character, but we got that continuation. And then we got this candle, the next candle breaks that one, so that's another continuation. And then we have this fractal pullback right here, okay? So again, same as here, as soon as we have that fractal pullback, what do? We look for the fractal high. So this candle breaks this low, this candle breaks this low, but this candle doesn't break that low. Therefore, we have a fractal high here. And as we can see, we didn't get that fractal continuation. We kept pulling back until we have that fractal change of character here. And it is a fractal change of character because remember, fractal change of characters and breaks are only we really only need to see a wick break, okay? So as opposed to internal structure and swing structure, we need to see that full candle body closure. But again, with fractal structure, we only need to see that wick break, okay? So that is a valid fractal change of character. Now we've come down and we know that fractal structure has now shifted bullish, but remember, internal structure and swing structure is still bearish. So we need to wait for internal structure to switch bullish to have confirmation of getting in for those buys. And that's when we get it here. So after that fractal change of character, we pull back. And remember now, what is this now? Because we have that fractal, now the fractal structure is bullish, we know this being internal high, pull back, and then we break it for that internal break of structure, okay? So now we have that two-step ingredient to be confident that we are looking for those longs. So after we have this confirmation here, I was ready for price to pull back into here, into this valid demand zone. So if you look at it, this whole zone right here is valid demand, okay? This whole zone. But we don't want to take this whole zone, okay? Because obviously the risk to reward would not be great. That's if you was trading this on a daily. But again, obviously we go down to the 50-minute, which is our lowest time frame, and look for those entries. Anyway, regardless, we've come down. We know that we're within this whole demand zone here, and even our refined demand zone, which is the one I really wanted to tap into, which we gladly did. So after I see this, I went down to the 15-minute time frame, and I could see internal structure wise, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. And then this high breaks above this high. So now internal structure on the M15 has switched bullish. Okay. And as you can see here, as soon as this high breaks, the lowest point that caused that break now becomes a strong low. And as you can see, that played out because we've come up, came down, but then failed to break this low. Okay, so this low has done its job. It's held. It hasn't been broken. So we can have all assurance that this is a strong M15 low, and all of this plays out. So we get this low here. So for a new high low, formed a new higher high, pulled back into the demand of this low, and that's why we took this trade, because we've pulled back into this demand zone. And as you can see, the second we entered, price just soared straight up, because we can see there are orders here. And what I mean by orders is, if you guys sooner or later this week, we'll have a supply and demand video uploaded, so you'll be able to understand what I'm about to say a lot more. But this is the most previous sell candle right before that true demand actually stepped in. Okay, so that is why this white candle is our demand zone. Okay, as soon as we tapped in, we filled up some of the orders, and then we soared straight up to the upside, and we are about to hit TP2 on this trade. And that is essentially why we entered into this trade, guys. So does anyone have any questions maybe you want answered, or because that's essentially every confluence and every reason we've entered into this trade. So does anyone have any questions? Maybe you want them answered right now. What's your strategy called? Well, essentially, it's just smart money concepts. So we trade obviously market structure, and we trade obviously supply and demand levels, all of those things. But again, the whole skeleton of this, the only reason we was able to actually get in on this trade, not including supply and demand, is swing structure and internal in this sense. I'm a little late. Can you just repeat it? I've heard a lot at the beginning. So you heard the beginning, or you didn't hear the beginning? So you didn't hear the beginning. Okay, cool. So as you can see here on the daily, we have clearly broken structure to the downside here. Okay, so now our trading range is between this high and this low. Anything in between is just internal and fractal structure. We don't have any interest in mapping out any more swing structure until the high breaks for a change of character, or the low breaks for a continue of the downtrend, obviously a break of structure. Internal structure wise, the reason we got into this trade is because we've got this strong swing low, made an internal high, internal low, internal high, internal low, internal high, and then we broke that internal low for a internal change of character. So we now know that internal structure has flipped bearish. So internal structure now wants to go bearish. Okay, so we've come up, and if you even look here, so from this high to this low, we have traded above the equilibrium. We have traded above the 50% mark on the Fibonacci, showing us that we have traded into discounted zones. Okay, so that was obviously one confluence. Second confluence, obviously not only that we had traded into discounted areas. Second confluence being that internal structure had flipped bearish. Okay, so as you can see here very, very clearly, internal low slash strong low, internal high, internal low, internal high, internal low, internal high, internal lower low. Okay, so we've made a lower low relative to this low here. So now we know the internal structure wants to flip bearish, and we want to look for something like this in the future until we break that until we break this low for a continuation in the whole daily swing trend. Okay, so Knowing that we have had that internal change of character, we then turn to fractal structure and obviously internal structure to then see where we can take those buying opportunities into the 50% of this current leg, okay? So then internal structure wise, we'll just go through this one more time for fractal. So all of these candles break the lows, okay? So as you can see, this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, and so on until we get to this black candle here. So all of these are a continuation of the fractal downwards move. And it isn't until we get to this candle right here that we get that fractal pullback. So then after we get that fractal pullback, we know that this is now our fractal low. And we have to look back into the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low to then find our fractal high. So then we look here, this candle breaks that low, 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 this one does on that does that, but that doesn't break this black candle's low. So then this would be our high, but because this candle trades higher than this, it doesn't make sense to put our fractal high here because we have price that traded higher, okay? So this is now our fractal high, and this being our fractal low, okay? So we need to wait for either the fractal high to break or the fractal low to break for a continuation, okay? And obviously if the fractal high breaks, that's a fractal change of character. But as you can see, we didn't come anywhere near that fractal high to get that change of character. We pulled back and then came straight back down for that fractal continuation, okay? That's why I've got that marked out as C there for continuation. After that continuation, we then get another fractal pullback. So as you can see here, this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, but this candle doesn't break that low. So then this is our fractal low. And the same reason here, or the same way here, what do? We look for our fractal high. As soon as we get that fractal pullback and we know where our fractal low is, we look for our fractal high. How do we do that? We again look for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low. So this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, this candle does not break this candle's low, okay? So that is our fractal high. And as we can see, we don't get that fractal continuation. We don't pull back and then continue to the downside. We pull back and keep going bullish. So fractal structure is now obviously heading to the upside, and we do eventually get that fractal change of character on a daily time frame. So what does that show? It doesn't show that now price is, you know, bullish. It doesn't show that we're going to the moon. It just shows that we're having that internal pullback. And as you can see, we do get that internal pullback. So after that fractal change of character, we now need another confirmation to then show us that we can look for those buyers and have confidence in doing so. So what is that confirmation? That other confirmation is having an internal break of structure so that we can be assured that it's not just fractal structure flipping bullish that we're going off. We also need internal structure to switch bullish to show that obviously we have more than one confirmation. And again, trading, again, all probabilities, we need to stack all odds on our side so that the trade we're getting in is a trade that we're confident in. So this fractal high obviously got broken for a fractal change of character. We then pull down, and because we have that fractal change of character, so fractal structure is now going bullish. What is this internal wise? This is now an internal high. So we pull down, pull back up, and we get a candle body closure above this internal high. So that shows that we have that internal break of structure, hence the name here, IBOS. And after that fractal change of character and after the internal break of structure, I had full confidence that we are now having some bullish pressure to the upside, okay? So after that, I saw we pulled back into this demand zone. So after we pulled back into this demand zone, I was ready to go to the 50-minute time frame. And it wasn't until I saw that this internal structure, so you can see here, internal high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, and then we break this internal high, okay? So what does that show? Even the same on the daily chart, what does that show? It shows that we're getting that bullish pressure coming in. And remember, we're in that demand zone. So these are all confluences that we can have to stack up with us to show that the trade we're getting in is a high probability trade. So again, we break this internal high for an internal change of character or internal break of structure, whatever you want to call it. And as we can see, as soon as this internal high breaks, what does this become? This becomes a strong internal low. And that plays out because we get this high and then we pull back into the discount of this low, but we don't break it. And as you can see here, so TP2 hit on that trade, amazing. Anyway, this whole area here is valid demand. So even this could have been a trade that we got into, but obviously I wasn't around on the markets at that time. So we waited for this opportunity. So again, strong internal low, we pull up, pull back into the demand, into the discounted areas of this strong internal low. And that's why we got into this trade. And as you can see, as we tapped in, we came up a bit and I entered a bit late, but even so, it played out very, very, very well. And we came up to the upside. I hope that answers your question. I hope you saw everything there. Robert said, is there a particular time where you trade? So yeah, essentially London session and New York session. Those are the two sessions that I really like to trade in just because of volatility. Are we all good? Does everyone understand why we got into this trade today? And remember, I will be posting this this live stream up on YouTube, and I will be sending a link, so you can always come back to this video if you if you didn't really understand everything. Where do we put the TP? So obviously TP1 was hit, TP2 is now also hit, and we're now waiting to come up to TP3, the final TP, which is at 1.05952. But I do not recommend you get into this trade now if you didn't get into it when I sent the signal, just because we don't know if price is going to continue going up. Because look, as you can see here, we had this supply zone here that price reacted from, and then now we also have this larger supply zone here where we are now currently reacting from. So I don't recommend that you get into this trade right now, just because the apex of the move, or sorry, the majority of the move has already been played out. And must practice. Yeah, definitely. You must practice. And guys, remember, all of this educational content that I'm giving is totally free. You can go on to YouTube. I will send the link in the Discord, and you guys will be able to have all of the components of my strategy completely for free. Okay, so sometime this week we will have the third video posted, which is obviously supply and demand. We've already gone through market structure. We've already gone through the three musketeers of structure, and we are now obviously in the process of uploading supply and demand. So again, all of that totally for free. Go and watch those videos. They are all over an hour long. I think one of them is over 2 hours long. And yeah, go there, study, and you guys will be able to hit trades like this. Put link and please, thanks for the free content. Yeah, totally. I'll put that link in the Discord so you can go ahead and watch those videos. You guys happy with that then? Do you understand this trade? I don't mind going into it one more time. We can expect to sell now. No. If you look here on the daily, we're still bullish internally until we get above this 50% mark. Yeah, as soon as we get close or around this 50% mark, we are then having the higher probability of sales happening. Okay, so again, now that we're down here, those sales become much more higher probability because we're not at the 50% mark. But the closer we get to that 50% mark, the higher probability that that internal high or that strong internal high will then form to then go back down to the downside. Okay, so I wouldn't expect sales anytime soon until we get up to this 50% mark. All right, guys. Thank you for joining, everyone. We're gonna leave it there. Any more questions that you guys may have, you can always just message me directly on Discord, and your answers, your questions will be answered. Okay. And again, this video that we have all been participating in will be uploaded onto YouTube, and I will send that link into the Discord once more, so you guys can all watch that as much as you need. Okay. Thanks for joining again, guys. See you soon. Have a good trading day.